Welcome to this episode of Computer Vision for Business. Today we have a very special guest. Today we have Mohammad Rizwan. He's not only a computer vision engineer working in Ultralytics, and for whoever doesn't know, Ultralytics is one of the companies responsible for some of the most well-known versions of YOLO. And certainly those are the versions that I use the most in my project. So thank you for that, Muhammad. Aside from that, he's an expert in object detection, human classification, and deep learning. He has been cited 113 times in research contributions in the field of computer vision. He's a technical writer. He shares his knowledge on LinkedIn, Medium, and other social media platforms. Especially in LinkedIn, he posts very interesting content. Like, I actually been looking at his post, and I feel like there's a lot that I can learn from those. So thank you for that. Is there anything that you think that I've missed, Muhammad?
That is an awesome introduction, Lou. Thanks for providing such an informative introduction. I think you have covered a lot. Just I want to add something like I really enjoy spending a lot of time on LinkedIn, engaging with the community and building my personal brand. And again, of course, uh, I am also working with Ultralytics. That is a well-known AI company in a vision AI space. And I think that's all from my side. But let's start with the things that you want to ask, and then we can go from there.
Definitely. So you mentioned your LinkedIn, and going back to it, there was some element that caught my eye in your description. It was saying solving real world challenges. I think it's a very powerful point and something that's normally overlooked by AI researchers. So I was very happy when I saw that you put that on your CV. So, because of that, I want to start by asking you, what are the most frustrating manual process that you've seen in business struggle, especially when dealing with visual data? Like, is there any sort of manual process, something repetitive that you think can be benefit the most by applying computer vision to it?
That's a very, very good question. The real world problem, computer vision is all about two things. One is research and one is development. So, in research, what you are doing is you're actually creating something new that already exists, but you sometimes you improve it and sometimes you create a new thing, and then you publish the research paper. But what happen is like if you take a look at the second side of computer vision, it's all about the development. So development is something that is very, very challenging, especially when you have not knowledge or you are just a beginner. But with the passage of time, you learn a lot, and you are actually building different type of new applications that community can see, and then based on that, you get your own personal experience in the computer vision space. Regarding the real world challenging, there are different real world challenges I think can be solved with computer vision. For example, take a look at let's consider an example of the retail. So in retail, what you want is you want to actually increase your revenue, and how you can do is at a moment what you are doing is like you have a retail store, and you are actually thinking about like how we can improve our customer success and how we can sell our product in a more effective way, right? So in that area you can actually use computer vision to highlight specific things. For example, we have in the last year we have released the Ultralytics heat maps. So Ultralytics heat maps are designed in such a way so that it can be used in the retail space. For example, considering you have 10,000 customer per day visiting your store, and you want to understand like where your new product will be placed in such a way that most people will buy that product. So based on heat map, you can analyze the customer patterns, and then based on that patterns, you can put your product in a specific location of your store. And in that way, the more customer will reach out to that product and the more sales you will get. So again, it's not something you are actually developing, but it's something you can also get business from.
Interesting, interesting. I see what you're saying. So, by the nature of the design of the website, there's always going to be certain spots that they're going to be most viewed or most clicked by the users. And by using that information, we can leverage where is the best spot to place the item. Very
Right.
interesting point. Another one that I like to throw to you is surveillance. That's one that I've been really interested, especially for the field of computer vision. And I think that's quite a good application for it, just because like being an officer that needs to be looking at a camera 24/7, it's something that's exhausting. It takes a lot of effort. And we know, like, especially with the rise of social media, that our attention spans are quite low. So just imagine looking something that's uninteresting for 8, 9 hours a day. How do you think computer vision can start to tackle or help, aside from the common, I don't know, gun detection, face recognition? Is there anything that you think it's going to be interesting in that particular field?
Yeah, definitely. I think, especially in the surveillance field, I completely understand your point. Like, if a person is actually consistently looking at the camera for around 8 hours or 9 hours, so it's a full time job. But considering the capabilities of new computer vision algorithm, for example, Ultralytics YOLO V8, or maybe the new algorithm that comes in the market from in the past few months, that includes the YOLO V9, YOLO V10. So what using that, you can actually detect the face of the person, and that later you can use for privacy or something surveillance. Apart from that, you can also use computer vision technologies to monitor the traffic near your specific building. Like if you are working in a government sector where you have a lot of privacy concerns, so you can take a look at the traffics that is moving from there and something like that.
Interesting point. Now that we talk a little bit about some of the real world challenges, I would like us to talk about how is computer vision evolving. You have been working in the field of computer vision for a long time. How has the demand for automating visual tasks has evolved since you started working in the field? Do you think there's anything that has changed massively since you started?
Yes, definitely. I think this is the field is actually expanding day by day, and a lot of new problems, lot of new customers are coming in this market. So definitely, it's something. At the same time, it's challenging, but at the same time, it's also you can say interesting as well. So considering the when I did started, so I started when there was only few people that are working in computer vision domain. So there was only few specific people that were working in computer vision domain. And then when I started creation, so my first thing was that when I started creating the content, it's not about like I will get the clients, I will get the more money or something like that. The reason behind that was like I need to promote something that user can use in such a way that they can solve the real world problems of the industry. So this was my main concern behind starting the LinkedIn influencing of the computer vision space. And then considering with the passage of time, I have seen a lot of different challenges in the industry. For example, if you consider these days, so these days the more community is moving toward LLM space, because they are the large language models and they can easily handle different computer vision basic tasks. But still there is a lot of things that they cannot solve, like considering object detection. You cannot do object detection with simple LLMs. You definitely need some computer vision model that can be used for detection or even segmentation, or then later on tracking or something like that. So again, I feel like in the coming days the technology will definitely move toward LLMs, but still there is a huge community that want to learn and that is interested in a traditional computer vision algorithms.
Interesting, interesting. I like to see that there's a clear plus moving forward. I actually played quite a bit with. It's hard to call them LLMs anymore because, like, now they use vision as well. But what I've seen is that they can do fairly basic tasks, but you are completely right that there is still a need for object detection, creating your own models. Let's see how long it lasts, and when if they're going to take over, or what's going to be the next big thing in the future. I like the point that you raised about LLMs because I think it highlights what's one of the key factors in computer vision, which is extracting insights from the data. Going into that, like what are the biggest challenges that you think like most companies in pretty much any industry that you are most interested on face when extracting insights from large volumes of imagery data, being that images or videos? Like for extracting insights, what do you think are the key components or what is hard at this point?
Yeah, I think that's a very, very important and a good question, especially if you are working in computer vision domain or you want to become a computer vision engineer after some days or maybe after some time. So yeah, I think the most interesting and most difficult things that these days different companies are facing is the data itself. So when you are actually see, there are two things. One is startup and one is a full complete company. So a startup, I am talking about the startup. So startup is something where you need to actually present some new technology to the customers, and then the customer will take a look at these technologies, and if these fit their need, they will buy that, right? So for this, you will actually need to prove yourself in such a way that you are actually able to solve that specific problem for that specific customer. And and for this, you need data. But what happen is customer will not provide you data. Customer will first want to see the POC you have created, and then you can get the data for that. And if you take a look at the POC, so for POC you will still need a data, and you cannot get it from the customer or anywhere else. So you need to find it from some online resources, for example Kaggle, maybe RoboFlow, or some other data set platform. So for this, there are very limited data set available. Like considering and in Ultralytics data sets, you will see a lot of data sets we have listed there. Like considering tiger pose estimation. So tiger pose estimation is a very small data set, but you cannot use it for a production or for a real world problem solving, but you can use it for the research purposes. So that's what I am saying. Data set is very important and it's very difficult task if you are working in computer vision domain.
I really like that you make the distinction between a startup and a standard company because, like, working with both, I also have seen there are different behaviors. Like, startups, I think they tend to help to anything that is new, anything that is breaking, anything that can give them a competitive advantage, basically. And it's not that traditional companies do not search that. They obviously want that. But I think they are more willing to bite the bullet, wait those 3, 4, 5, 6 months until they start implementing something. Just when a technology has been proven to be tried and true, then they decide to implement it. The
Yeah,
other thing
definitely.
that you mentioned, yeah, sorry, go on. You want to say, add something?
No, I think that's definitely correct. You are saying, I mean, like definitely, the companies in the vision AI space are definitely struggling with the data itself. I'm referring to the startups, but not a full-fledged uh, companies, because the companies that are already have the Series A or Series B, they already have a lot of resources that they can use to create the data set, or they can also outsource the data.
Exactly. And one of the points about building the data, yeah, this is a very common problem for any computer vision engineer. And one of the key different steps, I think you highlight them very well, is if the company provides you with the data, that's the ideal case. But if not, then you need to find it somewhere. The second best point possibility is to find a data set that already has been created for you. So it reduces a lot the amount of effort you have to put into it. And then we have the last resort, which is create the data set yourself, which up to a point you always have to do it a little bit just for fine tuning or finding those kind of edge cases that they always gonna be there that you want the machine to actually handle better than it is. But I feel like that's a normal step in any deep learning project. Just try to fine tune it for whatever application that you have in hand. One thing that I want to add, and then I want to ask you because I'm very curious to hear what you have to say about it, is I always feel like what I've gotten on what I've got the best at, especially after working a few years as a consultant in the field of computer vision, is not about being the best at creating the models, not the best at building the data sets. It's about finding an intermediate point between something that gives the client value straight away, but it helps you to build the data set. Maybe let me put you an example for something like that. If you have some sort of like system for validating that the signature of a document is correct or something like that, you can start with classical computer vision applications, something that kind of signals if it's word there. It can be something very simple, like is the color right? Has it been signed with a pen? Does it have the regular shapes? Something like that. Very easy to understand features that are handcrafted. With those, then you can create a data set that then you can feed to the deep learning model and get the best results. Is that something that you've seen as well?
Yeah, definitely. I think the problem you actually arise that is something I really like. So what happen is when you are actually deploying a simple computer vision applications, sometimes I feel like people are doing is when you are actually solving some computer vision problem, you are thinking about that it's something very complex, but actually it's something that is very simple. So considering the example you suggested for signature detection or signature recognition, so this is
Bear
very
in mind
simple
that
thing.
not everyone is as technically sound as yourself, Muhammad. So, like, while it may seem simple for you, is not for
Yeah.
everyone.
Okay.
But sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like if we will take a look at general perspective of the application you highlighted, so I think it's simple application, but sometimes it can be complex based on client's need. So it's all depend on the client's needs. Sometimes clients want simple application. So I would say that in summary, again, it's all depend on the client's needs. You need to understand the proper client's need, and you need to ask the queries to the client so that he can understand like this will be the final output or this is the milestone that this person will work on. In that way, I think you can easily get the projects done and you can easily get more importance in the client eyes, and you can later on work with that client for a couple of years as well. I have also done this type of thing, so it's something that is very enjoyable and at the same time very interesting.
Agreed. And I feel it touches in a point that I feel is quite important. Is about not everything is about finding the always the best model or um, trying to create the best data set. Is trying to find a solution that works right now for whatever problem that you have in hand. And I always say, like, to my clients, like, the most value that I ever given to a client of mine is by telling them, do not use AI, do not use deep learning, do not use like the new fanciest thing, just use the simplest solution possible. And simpler is better, so in most of the time at least.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. There are different problems that you can even solve with OpenCV. So you don't need even deep learning model itself. But there are some problems where OpenCV cannot actually perform in such manner. So you definitely need different deep learning algorithms like object detection, semantic segmentation algorithm, or relevant.
So now that we are talking about very simple solutions and very advanced ones, what risk do you see in business that they are slow to adopt such technologies, like the very advanced ones? Do you think there's any sort of drawback?
Well, I think it's not about the like client are not actually adopting the things. It's about like how industry is evolving. So, what as an investor, what we will see is like suppose you are an investor and you want to invest in a company that is actually completely working in computer vision space, right? And that company is actually creating the models or providing the solutions to a specific area, but you will see like how they are actually using the new things that are coming in the market like LLMs or something relevant. So if you are actually if your company is actually utilizing these technologies, alongside computer vision, so you will investor will definitely interested in that. And also investor is all about depending on the status, like if your company analytics is good or your company is growing very fast, so investor will definitely happy to invest in that company. But in otherwise investor will be not interested in. So again, it's depend on like what type of industry you are working on and what are your goals for the specific company and how you want to achieve it. So it's all depend on the company and your mind itself.
Completely agree. I think you touch on the two most important points, which is data driven and objective driven. If you
Right.
apply a technology that it's going to fulfill either one or both of those points, then I think it's a clear use case for one of those more advanced technologies.
Right.
And something I wanted to ask, as someone that shares so much, especially on LinkedIn, I can see that you have a lot of comments and you engage quite a lot in discussions there. I would like to know what common misconceptions do you normally see in people that comment, people that you talk with about the innovation process in the visual data processing? Like, is there any misconception that you see for computer vision that you think needs to be addressed?
Well, ideally, there are not too much this type of stuff I have seen in the comment section, but I think my comment section is more related to like people have specific query for the specific task I have shared on that post, and based on that, I always refer to the different resources, and also I can also provide my insight into that specific comment. But overall, I think community is well engaging, and community is actually learning a lot of things in the computer vision space. So this is a very good sign because at the end, the computer vision space is still not at specific level where it want to be. Like if you will take a look at the machine learning space, it's a very high. You will see NLP, it's also a huge space. But the computer vision space is not as far as like other domain. So it will take some time, maybe couple of years, 5 to 10 years, and then it will be at the pace where machine learning and NLP domains are.
Interesting. Well, clearly the people that they are on your LinkedIn data posts, they are quite well informed with all the interesting posts that you put in the platform. So, what are the most common requests that you see in the comments? Like, what do you think that you have posted that has given the most value to to the people that actually look your posts?
Well, yeah, that's a good question. So, what happened is like my idea always is to create the content or share the content that can help value to someone's life. Like consider, even you will take a look at my post, you will spend at least 1 to 2 seconds, right? So if you will provide me 1 to 2 seconds of your complete day, so definitely I will need to provide you some value. Then you will respect. So respect is from both sides. If you are actually just sharing someone content and you are not providing any value, then no one will actually come to you and reach out to you for a specific query. But if you are actually providing some value to the community, so community will also back to you and community will come with a lot of interesting questions. Like when I did started Ultralytics, I did join Ultralytics actually. So what happened is my main goal was to actually engage with community, provide them what is missing in the computer vision space and how easily they can use that. And in that way, I have created the Ultralytics solution that community can simply use with plug and play. They just need to pass the video file and that's all. Everything will be handled by Ultralytics package. So that's the something that I really appreciate, I really happy with, and community also provided a very positive response on this. And I can see a lot of people are using these new solutions I am creating, and this is a very good sign for me.
Definitely. I think you touch on a point that I like a lot because you talk about the easy interface of Ultralytics, and that's clearly one of the biggest selling points. But I feel like that's something that you guys are standardizing because it's easier and easier now to use like models. Like we also have the example of Hugging Face and things like that. So it's getting easier and easier to actually use these more advanced models. So I feel like it's not something that only like super big companies with a massive team of data scientists can do. It's something that everyone starts to be able to get access to this democratization of AI, especially of computer vision. I think it's going to be a quite important point for the next years. So one thing that defines Ultralytics is object detection. I know that your models can do more things, but I feel like object detection is the one that you are most well known for. Can you give me an example of an industry or somewhere that you think that object detection is falling short, something that requires a bit more? Like, do you think there's any particular application, industry, or any idea that is lacking only using object detection? For our non-technical viewers, when I talk about object detection, I'm talking about like finding the bounding box around a certain object. Like, for example, this would be the bounding box of my face. So this would be like, ew, that's what I refer by object detection. Please, Muhammad.
Yeah, definitely. I think you have presented the clear perspective of bounding boxes and the object detection concept for a non-technical audience itself. Let's discuss about the point you raised. So, actually, there are a lot of domains, especially considering the medical domain. So, in medical domain, sometime, for example, you need to actually highlight the brain tumor. So for the brain tumor you can actually draw the bounding box around that, but sometimes you actually need to find the size of the brain tumor and the location, exact location and exact area. So bounding box can be used for that, but you will also need instant segmentation or semantic segmentation that can accurately highlight the specific area of the brain tumor. But if you will take a look at the object detection, so object detection can provide you the localization of the object. Localization means the area where the object is, but it cannot provide you the exact location. Exact location means the exact area where object is. Considering you have two images, like you have the face, and we are actually drawing the bounding box on the face. So we will draw a rectangle bounding box, something like that. But if you will take a look at the instance segmentation, so you will draw the mask of the face. So the mask will be exact 100% on the face. There will be no addition or subtraction. So this is the difference, actual basic difference between segmentation and the object detection.
You just threw me back to my master degree when we were doing quite a lot of medical imaging. So I just remember all this kind of stuff, and definitely agree with you that segmentation is the next step of object detection. And I'm glad to see that Ultralytic is already supporting that in their latest models. So good indication there. Now I'd like you to propose you like a fun game. Let's imagine that all the companies in the world, they want to hire you, and you need to implement some sort of AI computer vision model, and you can keep 100% of the increased revenue or the cost that you cut. Which company would you choose, and which change would you think like is the most optimal in that regard? Uh, I mean, it doesn't need to be anything super specific. It's just like to make it a bit more interesting. Like, what do you think would be the biggest return on investment, pretty much for a specific subject and a specific technology?
If you are referring to computer vision space or you are referring to a journal AI space.
No, no, just computer vision, please.
Yeah. Okay. So there are a lot of. I think it as I think it as in a different way. So I have different type of things that I will take a look and then decide like which company I need to choose. But I feel like the situation at which I am now, I think it's the best place for me because in analytics it's a very friendly culture. Everyone will support you in what you are doing, and especially I really like the founder mindsets. When I was in the previous companies, what was happening is like sometimes the founders was very not happy with my work. Sometimes they was actually forcing me to work on a specific timelines. But here in Ultralytics, it's a complete friendly environment, and our founder is also someone that spent a lot of time in AI vision AI space, and his main aim is to make AI very easy for everyone. So that is the main thing which I really like about my founder, and that's why I chosen the analytics. And I think it's the best decision of my life because uh, I really enjoy these days working on different new things. I also promoting different new tutorials on the computer vision space, which is very awesome, and I really like this way of working.
Interesting. I mean, definitely, I can see that. The first time, I think Ultralytics is the only company that I've ever been impressed with the way that they respond issues in their GitHub page. Uh,
Yes.
like, I mean, I'm a developer, so I look quite a lot into issues in the GitHub space. For our non-technical viewers, GitHub is where the code is actually held. It's a website, and you can set an issue. An issue is like something that you think that doesn't work about the code. You just put it there, and then the developer has a look, and it tells you if it's going to work on it, or if it's nothing, or it's a problem of yours, or something like that. I mean, as it's common, like there's common questions that they are not related to the code in Ultralytics, but I can always see that someone from the team is answering very well, not being friendly, being super friendly, like trying to give as much information as possible. And when you see that, it's just like, okay, this is the kind of thing that I want to use for my projects, just because it gives you a lot of security and a lot of trust in the company and what they are building. If they care so much to respond so well in the GitHub issues, where it's normally like just computer people like myself, that is not something very salesy. That's my point. And if you are already treating your users as well there, it only speaks volumes of what the company must be to work there. So I completely can see your point. Going back to the original question, I mean, I never meant for a change of career or anything. I'm just asking, like, which of the industries, if from all the different industries that they are in the world currently, which one you think can have like a biggest return on investment by applying computer vision?
Yeah, that sounds good. I think the most growing and more expanding industry, or you can say like the industry that will grow more as compared to other industries in the next 5 to 10 years, is mostly retail AI. So retail industry is expanding day by day, and you will see a lot of computer vision implementation in the coming few years.
Interesting. Aside from visual search and things like that, is there anything else that you see being, I don't know, pushed by the retail industry?
Yes, I think so. In retail industry, there can be multiple use cases. Like the one I shared in the start is about the heat maps, where you actually you can track that where the new product you need to put in, and that can actually boost your sales. So there are many other use cases like people counting, which is very common use case. So you can actually count how many people are entering and leaving the retail store, which is very interesting topic. Then apart from that, I think you can also consider the privacy blurs. So in Europe, you will see like the privacy of each person is very important, and they have very strict rules. So maybe you can utilize such new algorithms to actually maintain the privacy in the retail malls actually.
Yeah, interesting point. Like for for Europe, like we already have seen quite a lot of the big players complaining about that. Like I think it was Claude, the ones that they released their LLMs later in Europe just because of privacy concerns. But it's relatively simple to strip some of the functionality in computer vision to make kind of a downgraded or modified version of your model that actually respects the privacy. So clearly a good modification just to make sure that you follow the regulation as as needed in the different parts of the world. Your work spans in different types of industries. Are there any advantages that you think small companies have over big companies when it goes to implementing computer vision? And I'm talking about something more related to computer vision. Obviously, smaller companies are leaner, are easier to move, to change, to integrate something new. Like, do you think there's any particular product, any particular application that highly benefits smaller companies in the
Uh,
computer vision terms?
Yes, I think so. I will answer this in a client perspective. So when you will go to the client as a well-known company that have a social presence, so client will definitely happy to proceed with these companies. So this is the one of major impact that you can put in from your social media and your social presence. But next question that comes is like, what is the product worth? Like if you have a product but there is no worth of that product, then client will not buy that. You need to actually tell client like what kind of benefit your product can provide to the client, and if it makes sense to the client, then client will definitely come. It doesn't matter like whether your company is a startup or it's a big company. Like I think from the client perspective, it's almost same whether you are from the startup or from the company. But client want more value from your product so that it can use it in their product.
Definitely. I think like a point that I like about working with smaller companies sometimes is that they tend to be a bit more disruptive. It's easier for them to just try new things. And also, just because of their reduced amount of clients normally, like the way that you need to deploy things makes it easier so you can scale later. If you already have to serve for 1 million users a day or something like that, you already need to start to think about how to scale and how to do stuff. So I always feel like it's easier to try with them and start developing something faster. And I always feel like when the faster you deploy, the faster you can start getting data and you can start like trying to go the next step, which I feel is the most interesting part of the job, if you ask me. Do you
Yes,
agree?
correct. I completely agree.
So you have in your social media presence, I take that you have quite a lot of business owners and people that they come to talk to you for the different posts that you make. And I like to see that you always try to give them value. Like, so talking about like the stakeholders of the different companies that come to you, especially talking about computer visions, what do you would you tell them? What do you tell them when they seem a bit hesitant of implementing computer vision solutions? Like, is there any sort of recurrent problem that could be money, that could be like long development time? What do you think like they normally complain about? That is not such a problem normally, or maybe it is. You tell me.
Well, again I think these are not the problems especially related to money or the development time. The main problem they have is like some of the peoples are not very confident, like if they will come inside the computer vision space, so they will able to easily create some product that will bring the value in their lives, or maybe that can bring the value to the client's goal. So I think this is the major comments I have received, especially from different business owner and different community. Like some of the people are not very interested to come in the computer vision space only because they are not very confident that they can easily create the product that can be used in the market.
Interesting. So everything is about value. It's not always about money per se. It's like they maybe think that for the amount of time and effort that they can put, that is not going to be a good return on investment.
Yes.
And I feel like right now it's the easiest time ever to create valuable things with computer vision, especially because of your company, like Ultralytics. Like I feel like it's never been easier to train something with a very small data set. You already provide pre-trained models for our non-technical audience. Pre-trained models simply means that Ultralytics already does the work for us. They train their model in a very large data sets that contains a lot of different classes like car, cow, person, all this kind of stuff. And what this does, it understands all the different features that we normally have in everyday use. That could be the eyes, the nose, the ears, all these kind of things. So then when we have to detect something like, I don't know, like a microphone or anything, it already understands these concepts like the hard edges that could come from a laptop or something like that. So it's a lot easier to train something when you use a pre-trained model. Would you agree, Muhammad?
Yeah, I completely agree with your thought, and one of the important thing, and which is very you can consider a very important thing from the perspective of analytics, is we are not actually providing the pre-trained model for the open Coco dataset. Coco is a very well-known dataset for object detection and even for the object segmentation, but we have not actually provided these model only. We have also provided the model from the open images v7 datasets that are very 600 plus classes dataset. Then we also provided the pre-trained model on Dota v1 dataset for the oriented bounding boxes that also include the angle for the box. So again, what we are trying to do in analytics is to make everyone life easy, especially if they are working in computer vision space. So you can also use any model from analytics by simply YOLO predict and then path to model and then the video file or the source you want to use, and that's all. So everything backend easily covered by analytics.
No, it's definitely very useful. I actually used both the Coco Train one, the most common one, but also the one from Open Images, and it was uh, pretty much a lifesaver for a project that I was working on. We were trying to detect like fairly small objects, and we figured out that actually using the ones for Ultralytics for some reason, maybe like one of the classes had very similar features. Um, so it was a great help. So it's something that's quite valued by the community. So the question that now comes to my head when we were talking about these people, and now we are talking how easy it is to create valuable models with computer vision that can be pretty much deployed for anyone. What else would you tell that person that is hesitant? We established that money is not such a big problem for them, probably, that they don't even believe that it's going to take so long. And we are saying that they can create something meaningful in not such a long time span. Do you think there's anything else that they might still be hesitant to and that we need to address?
Well, and also there are other things like considering a less knowledge of the computer vision technologies, or maybe the research focus. So for example, you if you will take a look at my when I did join analytics. So before joining analytics, I was actually sharing a lot of stuff from different computer vision algorithms. They were not only specific to analytics, YOLO V8 or YOLO V9 or even YOLO V10. I was also sharing a lot, and today I am also sharing from different perspective. Like sometime I even take a look at the LLMs. Sometime I share it with the community YOLO V9 or some other use cases, especially in the computer vision space. So the most important thing which I will try to tell here is like computer vision is not something that you can actually work on without a passion. You definitely need a passion for this, because it's not a field that you can actually spend daily 1 to 2 hours and you will get a reward for that. It's a full-time job. You will need to actually spend a lot of hours to make something that can help the clients, and in that way your business grows. you will actually need to be very active in the computer vision space so that you can get more insight about like what is the world is going, how where the world is going, and what new technologies are coming in the AI market. So I would say that the lack of knowledge in the computer vision space is the first challenge for different people. Second is it's a bit complex field as compared to machine learning, because in the machine learning you have the numerical data. So numerical data is not very complex, but visual data is a bit complex. So most of the people are not interested due to this factor as well. Like this, they think that the complex data they cannot easily handle. So that's why they are not moving to the computer vision space. This is the second challenge, and the third challenge is like if you are uh, uh, if you are thinking about like why I will come to computer vision space or what kind of benefits you will get. So again, computer vision space is just start. It's just a start. It's not at a level where you can consider it's a very good field. But I would say that it's 100% sure. Like in the coming months or coming years, its popularity will be very high and its jobs raise will be also very high. I think every year, based on the LinkedIn stats, 25% growth is coming in computer vision jobs. So you can consider at if we will take a look at 2030 or after that, you will see a lot of computer vision market and jobs. So definitely, I think it's something that you can invest in, and you will definitely get a good reward.
Clearly, it's a field that it's growing, and uh, something that I like about what you just said is that computer vision can be like the first step. Like it's about extracting the insights and getting as much information as you want, and then these could be output as numerical data that then it's a lot easier to store, it's a lot easier to process by other machine learning models. And that's when you can actually get like all the interesting insights, making it a lot simpler for whatever machine learning model you are using in order to understand all that. So it's just a way to extract information from images at scale.
Yeah.
Uh, One of the points that you just mentioned was about LLMs, how they gonna change. And now I want us to think a bit ahead, like think what is next in terms of computer vision. Doesn't need to be only about LLMs. Like, do you think is there anything between that, like something before? So we talk about already a little bit about LLMs, how they can impact. Do you think there's some other feature aside from like LLMs taking everything and just doing computer vision through them? Do you see like, for example, like YOLO V40 in however many years still being relevant and actively being developed, or what's your take there?
Yes, that's a very good question. I think again, it's depend on the client's need. But for example, if you are using the Chat GPT or some other LLMs providers, so you will definitely need to pay them, right? But if you will create the product, then you will have the flexibility. If you are using the Chat GPT, ChatGPT will be same. They will provide you the API and you can use it for your products, right? But you cannot actually adjust a lot of things in that, right? You have a specific features like maybe randomness or something, or seed factor that you can actually change in OpenAI, that can provide you or that can impact the output results. But if you are using the traditional computer vision algorithm, you have a lot in your hand. You can change everything within a few seconds to few minutes, and you can also get a good result as compared to OpenAI. And most interesting thing is, client will not be very happy when you will use the OpenAI, because it's a third party provider. So considering if the OpenAI will block the support of API access, so how you will actually use the product, or how you will provide the information to the client that he want to extract. So this is a major challenge, and I think most of the client are not very happy when they see that the implementation involves the OpenAI integration or some LLMs provider integration. Unless it's not a platform, you definitely need to work on traditional computer vision algorithm.
Clearly here, if we use LLMs, there's quite a lot of overhead that we also need to take into account, right? Like all these massive transformers don't come for free, and you need to pay them, that being with training time, with inference time, and so on and so forth. So yeah, clearly having this overhead is not going to be ideal for every client. That's why I tend to agree with your view and say, like, probably there's still going to be some sort of standalone computer vision model. And especially with cell phones and things like that, they probably could not run like the largest LLM possible directly on the edge, right? So you need to be efficient there. If you need to be efficient, you actually need to have a smaller model, something that's much cheaper in terms of computation to execute on the edge. So yeah, that's why I feel like there's also still going to be some sort of standalone computer vision models, to call them in such a way. But there's a third route that I feel like we didn't consider, and you actually reminded me of that, not in this interview, but just before it. I was looking at your post, and I saw one about Llama 3.1. Jan LeCun mentioned a few days back that it's going to have multimodality, and it's not ready yet, but soon. How do you think this is going to change? Because like at this point, maybe you kind of strip some of the unnecessary elements. You can quantize certain things. Do you think that this is going to be like a massive difference compared to something? Because my point, most of the complaints that we had, that you are pointing about OpenAI being a third party provider, that it was closed source, that we couldn't edit stuff, like a lot of them go away. I mean, I know that it's still an LLM, so we effectively still have that overhead. But you think that this is going to be like a big player in the future, like open source LLMs?
Yeah, definitely. I think the way Meta is approaching to LLMs and the way they started creating the LLMs, I think it's completely a game changer. And I feel like uh, OpenAI has taken 1 years or 1.5 years to reach at the level where they are at a moment. But Meta started and they are already at the level where ChatGPT 4 are. So I think it's really a game changer, and I cannot expect like it will be something that can actually decrease the traditional computer vision algorithm flexibility or the usage. But I think its Meta is definitely working on some really cool features. The more interesting thing which I really like, especially from Meta perspective, is like they have a lot of data. They have ton of data. They have different platforms, Facebook, then they have WhatsApp, they have Instagram, where people are uploading a ton of data. It's not about the numerical data, it's not about the textual data, but it's about the visual data. So if they will use that to create some open source model, so definitely that model will be very powerful and effective, because open AI at a moment have not such kind of data. Especially I am referring to the visual data. They have the text data, but they have not a lot of visual data. But Meta has a lot of visual data, and if they want, they can easily break through in the LLMs.
Interesting. So yeah, I agree with you with the meta side. I think there's a part that I would like still us to comment, because we are talking about the LLMs from Meta, but I think we also should talk a bit of SAM. And how do you see that evolving from regular object detection? For our non-technical viewers, like SAM is a segment anything model, so it's a very powerful model released by Meta, which effectively segments pretty much anything, hence the name. Do you see that being like the standard moving forward, like let's say teach object detection, move only to segmentation? And I know it's not going to happen in the next 1 or 2 years, but like let's say in 20 years, would you think that this is the common way of moving forward?
Yes, I think the way FastM is created, it's all about the unsupervised learning technique, not the supervised learning where you're actually providing the model a data and model is trained on that specific data, and then you're actually using that model. So FastM is something different, and I think in the future you will also see a lot of same models that will come in market to handle different type of problems, because FastM, the one thing which I really like about FastM is like it's about totally based on the unsupervised learning approach. It's not about the supervised learning where you need to collect the data. Again, as we talked earlier, the data collection phase is very difficult. So if you will actually create the model that is totally depend on unsupervised learning, so you don't need actually a lot of data. Maybe you need a data, but unlimited data, not too much data, because you can then tell the model to understand different features, and based on these features, model will automatically start creating different recognitions. So I think definitely in the coming years, you will see a lot of new similar models like FastSam will come in market and serve different purpose for different industries.
We talk quite a lot about the new trends of AI, of computer vision, to be more precise. So these changes may happen like in 2, 5, 10 years, whatever. What do you think are the changes that need to happen now in the organizations, in companies, in different industries to be ready to implement that? You mentioned a grow in computer vision. What do you think the company should start doing now in order to be ready for the next jump?
Well, so there are two type of companies. One is the company that is actually providing services, already providing services to different clients, and their product is running very well on the client systems and the client servers. So these companies still have an edge because they have the clients. They can hire a team that can actually work on the new research, and then if something new comes, they can actually integrate these new application to already existing technology. But if a company that is just in a start and have no clients, then definitely that company, I would say that company should start thinking already from LLM side rather than only computer vision space. So they should also consider computer vision, but as well as LLMs. So both they need to be in go in parallel, and then based on that, what suits the industry need and what suits their clients needs, they definitely need to move accordingly. Because if they will actually focus only on computer vision space, so we are not sure if in the future LLMs will handle the object detection and segmentation capabilities. So in that way, we cannot say like your startup will be successful. But if you will also consider the LLM space from the scratch when you are starting the company, you will definitely will have the confidence like at some point if the LLMs will start working and LLMs will actually provide the instance or object detection results, so you can actually easily shift to that. But only with the computer vision space, you will not have the enough resources to automatically shift to LLMs.
I get you. So we are effectively saying that the LLM is a much more flexible tool, and that in general should be an interesting point if you don't know what you are doing it. But moving only to the companies that they tend to work best with computer vision application. Let's look about surveillance, for example, even a little bit retails if we get part of the I mean, there's always like a very specific computer vision need. Those type of companies, the ones that they tend to benefit the most for computer vision, what do you think they can start doing now in order to be ready for the next big change, like that being like segmentation models or or anything like that, if they want to, let's say, create some sort of interesting model? For example, one good point would be, say, start collecting data now, so you have a data set ready when you want to start training. Anything else that you think is important?
Well, also the research team itself. I have seen a lot of startup and even a lot of companies have a good product but not effective research team. See, research team is very important when you're actually creating some really important or market oriented product, because, and especially in the computer vision domain, because every day new research is coming, and if you will have not proper research team, you will definitely lack a lot from the market, and at the end, at some point, client will also be not interested in your product.
Awesome. So thank you very much. Those were all the questions, all the topics that I wanted to discuss with you. It has been a very insightful talk. I really like to hear what you have to say about computer vision. I was especially interested to hear where you think we are going as an industry, and what's next, as well as how you are dealing with your fantastic community on LinkedIn and all the feedback you're getting from it. Um, is there anything else that you would like to add?
No, I think I really enjoyed this 1 hour meeting, and I think we have discovered and we have discussed a lot of points, especially in the computer vision and of course the upcoming LLM space. Uh, I think again, computer vision is really interesting and really effective field, and maybe you will not see its potential at a moment, but you will definitely see its potential in the upcoming years, because uh, considering every day we are actually sharing a lot of data, visual data on different platforms. So considering these visual data, the platform can easily create some visual model that can understand different things, that can solve client problems. So if you will not move toward, or if you will not think about the LLM space, or only or the computer vision space, you are actually lacking a lot, because if you have machine learning knowledge, that's fine. You have deep learning algorithm knowledge, that's fine. But with only machine learning and deep learning, you cannot solve the client's problem. You definitely, client will be not interested. Like, they will provide you a CSV data and you will need to generate the results. It's not something client will be interested in. Client will want to see the visual impact of the things, considering the retail space. So the retail is not something where you will get the CSV file and you will need to present the client, okay, these are the results for every day. If you need to provide actual value to the client, you will need to play with the visual data. So that's all.
Good point. Nice talking to you, and thanks for being a guest in our podcast.
Thank you.
One sec.